Honorable Minister Mr. Jayant Sinha, respected Mr. Ashok Chawla, Mr. Ajay Mathur, and Mr. Giri Sethi, senior dignitaries of the dais, friends, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Now I'm in a very difficult spot. Immediately after Honorable Minister's thought-provoking, erudite and lucid address, I'm now struggling for what I'm going to speak with the examples you gave. So simple examples which actually gave a practical view of what we need to do in sustainability. But let me start with the speech I have, and I will move on. Hopefully it'll sort of bring back some aspects which were very dear to our past chairman, Mr. Darbari Seth. It's indeed my privilege to speak today as part of Darbari Seth Memorial Lecture. For Tata Chemicals, the company I represent, he was a giant. One we always called who built that entire enterprise. So let me first thank Dr. Mathur for inviting me to share my thoughts on such an important occasion. I'm truly touched to be here today. It's also very appropriate and fortuitous that Honorable Minister Mr. Sinha is amongst us today. It was he who flagged off our 75-year celebrations of Tata Chemicals last year. So thank you so much for, and at that point, he unveiled a book called Salt of the Earth. That title would be apt to describe the man Darbari Seth. Thank you, sir, for being with us today. At the outset, before I dwell on the topic, I wish to read few excerpts from that book, Salt of the Earth. There's an episode in that book in page 79, and it goes like this, and it describes the man Darbari Seth was. I'm going to read verbatim from the book. JRD Tata first encountered Darbari sometime in early 1950s at a company review meeting in Bombay. He was instantly impressed with his passion and force of personality. JRD perceived he just may be the person to get Mithapur, where our factory is located, Mithapur operations moving. He later on went on to say about Darbari Seth, Darbari nearly demolished the place, but things began to change in Mithapur. Once Darbari Seth sent his technical designs to JRD, who advised him to have them reviewed by an American expert called Zola Deutsch to go through the same. A week later, JRD Tata met Zola Deutsch in New York. Zola Deutsch said the following to JRD, you must give this young man, that is, you must give Darbari Seth, more self-confidence, Mr. Tata, because someone who can design like this does not need to consult me or anyone else in the world. He was such a fine chemical engineer. Such was the caliber of Darbari. Was more than an exceptional chemical engineer, but there was also more to him. He was an inspirational leader, multifaceted problem solver, and usually adversity got best out of him. One such incident I'm going to narrate too, which also links the title of the topic. In 1960s, Tata Chemicals had a very real threat of running out of water. It was the toughest challenge the company faced since its inception. The situation turned into full-blown crisis when monsoon deserted Mithapur for third or fourth consecutive time. Darbari moved fast and with his team implemented 200 schemes including conservation of fresh water, substituting seawater with fresh water with seawater, production of fresh water from seawater. In the township, he implemented all this. In the factory, he implemented all this, and the township and factory both survived. And thanks to those efforts, the plant which now produces those products actually produces in multiples of what it produced in Darbari Seth's time and draws actually zero fresh water from anywhere. It speaks volumes of sustainability. It speaks volumes of sustainability years before it became fashionable word. So going on to the title of today's talk, what can businesses do to shape and lead sustainability? Firstly, the fact we need to be sustainable, in my view, must come from one's philosophy of business, from core principles and values. For those businesses which think long-term rather than short-term, think in stakeholder well-being as opposed to shareholder well-being, shared value creation rather than value retention, think in terms of being a good corporate citizen, there is no choice. It is not sustainable to be unsustainable. In my view, businesses must not only look at building sustainable operation, must move beyond their operations. Let me highlight a few examples of what businesses should do, and there are examples of what businesses are actually doing today. The first and foremost, in my view, is to influence consumer choices and behaviors. Businesses have a duty, in my view, to make available choices to consumers and also to make them aware the impact of the choices they make. The very act of driving consumer behavior then forces the entire competitive landscape to move in the direction of sustainability. Few examples: the star rating in air conditioners and appliances has actually moved the consumers towards 5-star rated appliances, and the consumers are willing to pay a bit more. The entire campaign and switch to LED bulbs, I think that has really, really changed the way we look at energy in lighting. In agriculture, which is a field I'm closely associated with, the whole system of rice intensification, where less water is used for cultivation of rice. These are all examples of technology being put to use where sustainability is at the core, and the sustainability is being driven by giving consumers a choice. The second thing which business can do is to influence the supply chain. Businesses have to go beyond the fence, ensure sustainability of the entire supply chain. Broadly, top 100 companies in the world, especially the trading firms, control disproportionate share of commodities. These firms can clearly influence sustainable production process, in many cases can also brand them for getting consumer equity. Some of the names are Rainforest Alliance for tea and coffee, ensuring best labor practices in vendors, several of the people do that, making sustainability KPIs as integral part of vendor rating. These are all things which businesses can easily do. Third, in my view, is being transparent. I think businesses must learn to get more transparent in this digital world about performance and commitment to improve. We have to lead in reporting sustainability in form of GRI, natural capital, the various forms, integrated reporting. The key issue, in my view, is not where does one stand, but the roadmap to improve. I think that's the fear. The fear is always, am I good enough? But then we should not be in that position. We say, okay, this is the starting point, but here is a journey I'm willing to travel. I think that commitment is more important. Fourth is, of course, we can't leave the community behind. We need to have outreach to community and schools. Businesses need to go beyond, and the reason being that in schools are the future generation which are going to come and work, and they need to be also sensitized about sustainability. And we've done several of them, like forming Pani Samitis in villages, having village-level Goba gas plants, village-level entrepreneurship schemes, and these are all about how do you reach out to community to make the community sustain itself. Lastly is advocacy. I think nothing works without regulation. Finally, everybody needs a bit of regulation, and work with regulators to ensure sustainable adoption of best available techniques and technology happens. There has been many, many voluntary cases. I must say one about Indian chloralkali industry itself. There was a voluntary shift made to move from mercury to membrane. And in the world, India is the only country where mercury technology does not exist. Even in the United States, there are a lot of plants which have mercury technology. Even today, we have actually eliminated mercury from the entire supply chain. We are all on membrane technology. So it is possible. And here the industry worked with government to get custom duty benefits, and government too supported. And it was clearly a voluntary move. There was no pressure from government, but the industry wanted to be more sustainable. So in my view, companies today stand at a vantage point where to make tough choices in order to stay relevant in the competitive market and also to its customer. While bottom line of any business is to make profits and they need to expand market share, the impact on society needs to be viewed by businesses. At Tata Chemicals, we are extremely serious about our impact to on the larger good of the society. When it comes to contributing to society, we follow the ethos set by our Tata Group. And this involves being committed to improving quality of life of communities we serve. Our practice of returning to society what we earn evokes trust amongst consumers, employees, shareholders, and the community. We are committed to protecting this heritage of leadership built by leaders like Darbari Seth with trust through the manner by which we conduct our business. Which is why in Tata Chemicals we have imbibed our mission, and our mission reads, serving society through science. It is our commitment towards providing solutions to challenges faced by society by harnessing fruits of science for goals that go beyond business. We are focused on this, and let me give you an example. We now have a nanotechnology and a biotechnology center in Pune, which does cutting-edge research work in many of the aspects. And one clear example, for example, how do you have tires which go longer, tires which use less rubber, and nanotechnology is a solution. And we are working with tire manufacturers on that. We also have 50-odd scientists are working on nanotechnology and biotechnology. Biotechnology, by the way, biochemistry is more benign chemistry process than having inorganic chemistry. So we are trying to look at solutions which are coming out of biochemistry. In Pune, we've got Seed Research Center and also Research Center for Safe Chemicals for Farm. and about 100 scientists are working on that. And it's a consistent support to make sure that the solution we offer to Indian farmers are highly sustainable. Let me go back to the time Darbari Seth was. He actually saw in each product a sustainable business model. And let me go to the heart of the product which we are known for around India, Tata Salt. He did not see us as a salt marketing company. He saw us as a company which will deliver micronutrient through the medium of salt. And the entire abolition of eradication of goiter in India is due to relentless effort he placed in front of Government of India, and the partnership which Tata Chemicals had in terms of promoting iodized salt. We are taking that philosophy further. We are today working on double fortified salt, where we are fortifying salt with iodine and iron. As you would know, 50% of Indian women are anemic. They don't know about it. And delivering iron through salt is the best way to make sure that everybody gets the daily requirement of iron. So these are all ways we can look at our business in a slightly broader sense of creating a larger impact, yet serving the business purpose. In addition to doing this, of engaging on science, we also work with communities. And for us, corporate social responsibility are an integral part of our strategy. One of the institutions which Mr. Darbari Seth promoted within Tata Chemicals was Tata Chemicals Society for Rural Development. He did not promote, the focus of that entire society is rural development, and that has spawned further foundations called Uday Foundation and Okai Center of Empowerment, and these are all social enterprises run by artisans. He also promoted an institution called Tata Chemicals Golden Jubilee Foundation, and overseas the same tradition has gone. In Kenya, we now have Magadi Foundation. And in these foundations, our employees actively engage in CSR through volunteering efforts. With numerous social media forums at disposals, corporates are in constant dialogue with society. These platforms are also an integral part of our organization's customer-centric approach. This exposure at times makes companies susceptible to being judged for their actions. In a way, this complex web of social dialogues makes it essential for business leaders to develop strong relationships with society. That is why I would like to state here the need to imbibe societal development in your business processes. Is an excellent way of building relationship. To give you an example, from Tata Chemicals table, each of our business unit has made efforts to identify issues specific to them through in-depth materiality studies. These include biodiversity, supply chain engagement, water, promotion of livelihoods, skill development, diversity and inclusion. We will continue our efforts to sharpen the focus on each of these areas in the coming years. Additionally, we are also becoming increasingly sensitive to global concerns out of processes such as UN development goals, commitments from COP21 to name a few. In conclusion, I would like to emphasize that business leaders must focus not just on earning profits, but also on playing significant role in shaping the society. It is important to comprehend that increased focus on larger good of society does not deviate from the focus from profit. Initiating community development and environment sustainability shall enable companies to build business-friendly society, one that is strengthened by their efforts and also yields them a profitable future. This was at the very heart of the philosophy which Darbari Seth opposed for Tata Chemicals, and I'm really delighted and happy and honored to be here amongst all of you to say that his mission carries on, his mission moves forward, and we are even more emboldened, even more strengthened to carry on in this journey of sustainable growth, sustainable, profitable growth. Thank you, everyone.